All right. First story of the day today has to do with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, one of my favorite American politicians, edging out Chuck Schumer, one of my least favorite politicians. So they're both from New York. They're both Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is a congresswoman, so she's in the House, and Chuck Schumer is a senator. He's actually the Senate minority leader. He's the Republican or the Democratic leader of the Senate. So they're in different sides of Congress or of lawmaking, but I think it's very interesting that AOC is starting to pull ahead of Chuck Schumer. So on a story that's only being reported on by the right, well, and a little bit of center, but mostly the right. No left. No left reporting here. It says a new poll conducted on the 15th through the 18th of May shows that AOC leading Chuck Schumer 54% to 33% in a hypothetical 2028 New York Democratic primary. AOC, if you're watching, because I know you're a huge fan of the show, I highly recommend running for the Senate. I think it's time. You've spent your time in Congress, spent a little bit of time in Senate, but I feel like you have the potential to go to the White House. So the poll reflects growing dissatisfaction with Schumer's leadership, especially regarding his response to the anti-Semitism and criticism of Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu amid the Gaza war. So we got a feeling of a changing of the guard, and if you come over and you look, one of the publications reporting on this is the Jewish Press. I want to look at that article just to kind of go over it because Chuck Schumer is a New York Jew. I'm not trying to be derogatory or anything like that. He's Jewish, and a very big presence when it comes to the Senate. So this is a huge thing, especially for people in Israel or people who are of Jewish descent, because huge members of our cabinets and lawmakers and stuff are dual Israeli citizens, which is, it seems like a conflict of interest to me, but I'm not in government, so what am I supposed to do about it? But we'll go over here and take a look at the Jewish Press and see what they have to say about AOC, and then I'm going to go and read an article from Newsweek because it's the most center-leaning outlet that I could find in regards to this. But look at that picture of her. I mean, she is having a great time. She's doing good things. So, a poll conducted by the Honan Strategy Group for the Jewish Voters Action Network. So this poll was done specifically to target Jewish people, which is strange that she's so far ahead of Chuck Schumer. But Chuck Schumer is old and completely out of touch, so I guess it's not really that surprising. Found that Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez would decisively defeat Senator Chuck Schumer in a hypothetical 2028 Democratic primary, leading by a smashing 21-point margin. The poll shows AOC leads Schumer by 54 to 33% among likely Democratic voters in New York City. Her support cuts across demographic lines, including among Jewish Democratic voters, where she holds 45 to 33% lead with 17% undecided. The poll, which involved 1,136 Democratic voters, has a margin of error of just under 3%. And needless to say, these numbers are troubling for Senator Schumer, which we have talked on the show multiple times about how Chuck Schumer's popularity is waning, how he's 74 years old. It's time for him to retire and get the fuck out of the Senate. AOC's 36. She's like, what is that, like 40 years younger than him? I mean, go retire and spend time with your great-grandkids, Chucky. Needless to say, these numbers are troubling for Senator Schumer, who is as Jewish as they come and has relied on Jewish voters as his core base of support throughout his 5-decade political career. Let that ring in, people. 5 decades. Dude's in his 70s. 5 decades is 50 years, so what is it with him, fucking Biden, all of these politicians who have been in politics since they were in their 20s? It is time to move on. I feel like I keep saying that over and over and over again, but it's time to move on. Losing ground among Jews to a rising star in the party who isn't even Jewish makes a serious blow for the much older Senate minority leader. His only consolation for now is that he isn't up for re-election until November 2028. File this under How Bad Is It for Chuck? AOC is more popular than Senator Schumer among New York Jews despite her hostility towards the Jewish state. That's another thing. Like, she is a very staunch, strong supporter of Gaza, which is pretty surprising. So I feel like American Jewish people might be starting to change their ways just based on how everything has been going. But AOC criticized the... Oh, wait, we're a little bit too far there. Wow, this is screwing up here. On July 18th, 2023, AOC was one of 9 progressive Democrats, including Jamal Bowman, Cori Bush, Andre Garson, Summer Lee, Ilhan Omar, Anya Presley, Delia Remez, Rashida Tlaib, who voted against a non-binding congressional resolution introduced by Representative August Pfluger. The resolution affirmed that the state of Israel is not racist or apartheid state, condemned all forms of anti-Semitism and xenophobia, and declared that the United States will always be a staunch partner and supporter of Israel. Is that how the United States people feel? AOC criticized the resolution, arguing that it was inappropriate to conflate accusations of anti-Semitism with legitimate concerns about human rights situation in Israel. She called the pairing of vote on anti-Semitism with the discussion of apartheid and the supposed two-tier legal system a very cynical move. AOC condemned the October 7th Hamas attacks on Israel, describing the horrific attacks against innocent civilians. Okay, so this is just kind of the piece from the Jewish press. I want to go over and read the Newsweek piece as well, and we'll just kind of breeze through it because I don't want this to be like a 20-minute video when I clip it up. But Newsweek was my center-leaning article, and the Jewish press was a little bit more right-leaning. And if you go back over, you can actually see that. See, leans right, and then we scroll down to Newsweek, high factuality, center-leaning. So we'll read through this Newsweek article real quick, and then we'll move on to the next one. So 21-point margin, why it matter. These results have signaled potential vulnerability for Schumer, the 74-year-old Senate Democratic leader who has held his seat for over 2 decades. The polling data shows or suggests a growing dissatisfaction within the Democratic base, particularly concerning Schumer's response to rising anti-Semitism and his leadership during the political changes. This says that Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez is 35. The last article said that she's 36, so she's somewhere close to there. She's been viewed by members of both major parties as both a lightning rod and an advocate for change, in a similar vein to President Donald Trump himself. No, I'd say in a similar vein to maybe Barack Obama when he was going through his election cycle, not after he got elected, but definitely before. This latest data is particularly notable given the AOC's criticism of Israeli military actions in Gaza, which she has characterized as genocide. Schumer, who is Jewish, has relied on Jewish voter support. Yep, we've already talked about this. Schumer, the highest-ranking Jewish official in the United States and longtime supporter of Israel, said on the Senate floor in 2024 that Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was an obstacle to peace while calling for elections to replace the leader. Okay, I can get on board with that. It's the only thing that I've heard of that he's done that I'm on board with. But at this critical juncture, I believe a new election is the only way to allow a healthy and open open decision-making process for the future of Israel. Yeah, and when you've got Benjamin Netanyahu saying that the war won't end until Israel controls all of Gaza, that's pretty bad. Pretty bad. So Schumer maintained his support for the continuing resolution, which would prevent worse damage to the federal government from Trump and billionaire Department of Government, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so what people are saying... political science advisor at the University of Kentucky previously told Newsweek via email, AOC serves as the face of the Democratic Party for many Trump supporters who dislike national Democrats. They like to pillory her as ignorant and irresponsible, which she isn't. But let her be a sleeper agent. That's fine. Let them sleep on it until she's in the White House. I'm cool with that. Voss continued, at the same time, many Democrats embrace AOC as a worthy young successor to Bernie, someone who can play the role of the progressive challenger in the Democratic nomination battle. Likely AOC tops the charts because she attracts so much bipartisan attention. AOC enjoys good branding as symbolized by the fact that both her supporters and critics simply refer to her as AOC. No matter what Ocasio-Cortez does in the next presidential election, she'll be hard to ignore. Notably, no politician has managed to seize the mantle as a symbol of mainstream Democratic Party, judging from this poll. Kamala Harris, despite having just served as the face of the Democrats in 2024, finds herself clustered with a handful of other politicians. Nobody wanted Kamala Harris before she became the nominee. Lots of people got behind her when she was the nominee because she was the nominee, but nobody was calling for her to be the nominee beforehand. So, as opposed to, I think this young lady here who has been focused on her political career for the last decade or so, is a very viable contender. So what happens next? Schumer isn't up for re-election until 2028, providing time for the potential political repositioning. For Ocasio-Cortez, these numbers could influence whether she considers a Senate bid, though she has not indicated any intention to challenge Schumer. Here's the thing. Should she go for the Senate? I'm not sure. 2028 is going to be a very important year for politics. We're going to really see how things go with what's going on with the current administration and where politics lie after that. So who knows what the future may bring, but I say that she's a person to watch. So, hey, Cousin Matt here. Thanks for checking out that clip from Nightly News This Morning, a show I do live on this channel on Tuesdays and Fridays at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. If you like the content, please drop the video a like. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already. And I really do appreciate your comments. I'm really looking forward to having a discussion. I'd love to know what you think about it, and we will see you in the next one.